It's time for dinner.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
From the creative mind of Scott Bertelson, after 4 decades of teaching our impressionable youth,
The dinner bell.
you are invited to enjoy conversational morsels for the mind at Mr. B's dinner party.
Yeah, dinner.
Who's that knocking on my door? Well, I'll tell you who it is. It's Mr. B. Yay!
Mr. B's got a table so wide. Pull up a chair, let your worries slide. School days, tales, and a movie or two. He's serving up wisdom with a side of stew. Belly up to the table, my friend. The feast of thought will never end. From travels far to a spiritual climb. Morsels of musing served in rhyme.
Oh my goodness, I have such a hearty appetite. I have so many morsels that I want to share with you today. I want to talk a little bit about my spiritual journey and one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. And then, oh yes, hang on. I'm going to start talking about some of my favorite top films of the 90s. And then, and only then, I have some pet peeves. Let's have a good time today at Mr. B's dinner party.
Let's have a seat round the proverbial table
Would you like to say grace?
with a nod to our higher power and Mr. B's spiritual journey.
My friends, I have recently been consumed by a character defect that I have tried to give away to my higher power and have my higher power rid me of that. And I would have to say most of the time it works. But recently I have latched on to resentment, which I have latched onto for the majority of my life. I have lived my life prior to the spiritual journey of discovering who I am as a overeater and why I have become that, with the belief that I wasn't good enough for other people, or they thought they were too good for me, or I was wronged. And so I had a lot of pity parties for myself. But the strange thing was, most people did not know about that. They would never guess me to be a resentful person. I could cloak it well. I could hide it. And so because of that, then what I would naturally do, of course, is overeat in isolation to compensate for that, which did no good but caused more trouble for me physically, spiritually, mentally, all of the above. So when I discovered this spiritual journey, I went through steps 8 and 9 with my sponsor, and I identified all of when I did my personal inventory, I identified all of my resentments and why I had the resentments and what I had to do because of these resentments. And one of the big things that I learned was in this program, which is based on Alcoholics Anonymous, if you, according to what we call the Big Book, written by Bill W. many, many years ago, which has been adapted for lots of obsessive maladies, is if you, for 2 weeks' time minimum, view the person that you have resentment for in a positive way and wish them the best and want them to be successful, whether you mean it or not, your higher power will eventually lift that resentment. And I've done it, and it's worked. But recently, I forgot all about it because I wanted to control it. For some reason, I must be getting something out of resentment, whether it's for a relative or a friend or a colleague or an acquaintance, whatever it would be. It doesn't take me much at all to find something I'm resentful about, which is largely tied into jealousy, another major character defect. And so recently, I seem to have been overwrought with a number of resentments. And I am allowing them to proliferate, grow bigger in size. And instead, I should not be doing that. I should be diminishing them. I should be giving them away to my higher power. And so I met with a group of people on Saturday who also have the same disease that I have of overeating, and gave me great advice of how I need to turn it over. I need to pray for these other people. And, when I was initially told that, I was like, what? You want me to pray for that person? Do you know what that person did to me? Do you know how that person treated me? Yeah. Uh-huh. Pity party. And it really took me a while to come to that realization that that's what I needed to do. For my benefit, not the other person's benefit, for my benefit, because it will sabotage my program. The resentment, if I fill that resentment cup, then I'll want to overeat. I'll want to indulge in inappropriate for me food behavior. So I'm here today to tell you that resentment solves nothing. It's a waste of emotion. It's a waste of time. And you cannot control another person in any shape or form. And I think the major thing we need to remember when it comes to resentment is that the other party, we may not know why that person acted that way, said that, treated you that way, whatever it is. But they have their own issues that they have to deal with. It's not all about you, okay? Not at all. Those people are carrying around also issues, probably, that you may not be aware of, that made them respond the way they did to you or act the way they did. And you may never know why that happened. Let's look at a reading about resentment. It starts this way. It seems that all my life had been a series of reactions from fear, anger, or resentment towards others or situations, or from my own negativity or shame. To deal with my despair and inner turmoil, I had to stop blaming life and find a new way of thinking. With help from my higher power, I learned that I can accept others as they are. Let me repeat, I can accept others as they are. I learned that I am not a victim to life. I can care for and be responsible for myself and my thinking. I can consciously choose positive thoughts and decisions that enable me to act on life one day at a time. Anytime that my food obsession returns, it is a sign for me that I need to look at my reactions to people and things. You see, recently I've been wanting to indulge in eating my red light foods. Red light foods, of course, being the foods that I should positively stay away from because I'm allergic to them and cause me to overeat once I have a taste of it. I need to willingly take responsibility for my part and for my happiness. I need to own my own power to take action. Today, I follow the 12 steps and I act on life. Once again, acceptance of everybody around you. Not necessarily liking it, not necessarily understanding it, but accepting it. As you should accept yourself. As in loving yourself. As in appreciating yourself. Let's look at another one, please. All right, here we go. Here we go. And it states, at age 45, I had hated my father for most of my life. That's interesting it starts this way because I had an ongoing resentment against my father for many, 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 many years. I can so much even tell you that I at times hated my father. I felt like my father didn't love me. I felt like my father ridiculed me, put me down, didn't care about me as he did the other two children. Back to the text. I didn't really remember why until recently when a frivolous Sunday visit to a flea market revealed an unexpected opportunity to heal a lifelong, unnecessary hurt. That innocent afternoon, I disinterestedly chanced upon a coin vendor marketing his wares. I hadn't collected coins since a childhood occasion when my father had spent my collection at face value. Then I saw it, the war nickel that I had always dreamed would be worth millions one day and that my father had stolen from me. This coin was in approximately the same condition as the one I had lost. I nervously asked the price and bought it for $0.25. I realize now that I had hated my own father all my life for 25 cents. I started to cry, then laugh, then cry, then laugh, then cry. Somehow the tears and laughter washed away the hate and anger planted so long ago and nurtured so carefully by my disease. I call it my 2-bit resentment. Today, with the help of OA and the 12 steps, I live in reality, and I try to avoid making situations larger than they really are. You see, that's one thing I've done, my friends, my entire life. I've always made a mountain out of a molehill. I always look for the glass being half empty. I always thought that I could never make it to the top of the hill. I always told myself that things have been going really well for a while. This won't last. Something bad is around the corner. I actually looked forward to something bad happening because that's what I deserved. None of us deserve that. We deserve happiness. We deserve acceptance. We deserve the right to live with our fellow human beings in harmony and peace. Now, I have to be honest with you, my happy friends. When I turn on the news, even though I try to avoid that as much as possible, there are many things that I could easily get resentful about when it comes to politics on the national level, state level, whatever it would be. And instead of hauling that around with me every day and letting it turn into a tumor in my soul, it's better for me to just leave it, walk away from it, and say, if that's not directly affecting me, I need to not pay any attention to that. Instead of smearing it in my brain and become a naysayer. So that's why I've largely tried to avoid the news, except for just getting the headlines, and telling myself that I've got to look for the positive. So, folks, to end this, resentment can kill your soul, along with many other character defects. And I come from a family of people hanging on to resentments very readily. My father's side of the family, his brothers and sisters, they all resented each other, never seemed to get along, always were fighting, always bickering, instead of taking the opportunity to love each other and get along with each other. And I'm the new generation. I don't have to live like that. But I have to consciously choose that I'm not going to be resentful. Every day I have to remind myself and accept people for who they are. Acceptance. Acceptance helps to get rid of that horrible, horrible resentment.
For the next course, come one, come all. Nothing spoiled here. From comfort classics to what's hot now. Film reviews from Mr. B's Rewatchables.
My friends, always remember to grab life by the ball. What's that from? Do you know? Come on, put up your hand. Grab life by the ball. Of course. It's from the film Dodgeball, a True Underdog Story, which came out in 2004. I just recently saw it on cable again, and I just laughed hysterically. And I've seen it many, many times. It was a sports comedy film written and directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber. And it had Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller, Christine Taylor, and Rip Torn. For those of you who haven't seen it, and it's a crime if you haven't, it follows this group of unlikely misfits, and definitely misfits with a capital M, who enter a Las Vegas dodgeball tournament needing the prize money to save their cherished gym from being taken over by the corporate health fitness chain that was led by Ben Stiller.
Ugliness and fatness are genetic disorders, and it's only your fault if you don't hate yourself.
It received great reviews from critics, and it grossed a lot of money. Made $168 million, and it was made on a budget of $20 million. Ooh. According to this, as of 2023, there's a sequel in development. I haven't heard anything about that. But if you have, let me know.
That's what I just said. Well, that's what I'm saying to you. All right?
Let me give you a little bit of the story. Peter LaFleur is the owner of Average Joe's, a small, understaffed gym. While he's going to default on the mortgage, his business rival, White Goodman, who owns Globo Gym across the street, purchases it. Now, unless Peter can raise $50,000 in 30 days, Goodman will foreclose on and demolish Average Joe's to build a new auxiliary parking structure. Goodman attempts to seduce attorney Kate Vetch, who is handling his account. Repulsed, she cites conflict of interest to rebuff his disturbing advances.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
So anyway, to make a long story even shorter, what happens is that they come to Las Vegas for this dodgeball tournament. And it just turns into this hilarious parody of, in my mind, sports movies that are serious sports movies, especially using the vehicle of dodgeball. The only memories I have of dodgeball was when I was in school, and I detested playing dodgeball because the opposing team, even though they weren't supposed to do it, always aimed for the head and tried to knock me out with the dodgeball. And so it was a horrific experience, something I did not ever want to do again.
Dodgeball is a sport of violence, exclusion, and degradation.
What happens in this is that the average Joe team does ultimately win the dodgeball tournament, as they are playing against Ben Stiller's team of the opposing gym.
We will rock you.
And the guy who is the one who makes the tie-breaking vote for the belief that average Joe's team should win is Chuck Norris.
Thank you, Chuck Norris.
Thank you, Peter.
So anyway, just really, really funny. And near the end of the film, Peter and Goldman engage in a sudden death match. Peter blindfolds himself, that's the Vince Vaughn character from Average Joe's.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Evades Goodman's throw and strikes him in the face, winning the championship and the prize money. Goldman reveals that Peter sold the gym to him the previous night. Well, he did. But Peter explained he used Goodman's $100,000 to bet on Average Joe's victory, with the odds against them at 50-1. And then he collects $5 million. And then Peter announces his intention to invest in the controlling stake of the publicly traded Global Gym, allowing him to own it and its subsidiaries, which now include Average Joe's. So anyway, due to the credit, Peter becomes quite successful with his gym. And Goodman, played by Ben Stiller, absolutely one of my favorite Ben Stiller portrayals. At the end of the film, it's a hilarious scene, is morbidly obese and is watching a commercial on television, and he blames Norris for his plight. And he's sitting there stuffing himself full of ice cream and I believe pizza, and just absolutely hilarious. Ben Stiller, to me, was an overeater. He would put pizza in front of himself, and then he would shock himself so then he wouldn't want to eat the pizza. So every time he saw pizza, he would think of being shocked, and then he would stop wanting to have that. Not the most effective way to deal with an overeating disorder, but that's what he did. So the cast, again, Vince Vaughn, who's been in many, many movies, played Peter LaFleur.
You're adopted. Your parents don't even love you.
Whose intention was to stop the foreclosure of his gym. Ben Stiller is White Goodman, who's trying to buy out Average Joe's. And he tries to establish a relationship with the character played Kate, who's in love with Vince Vaughn, despite her constant rejections.
Reading the dictionary?
Oh. You caught me. I like to break a mental sweat, too. We should mate.
I mean, he is absolutely disgusting, his character in this film. Christine Taylor plays an athletic real estate and tax lawyer who's assigned by the bank to sort out the finances of Average Joe's gym, and actually starts and ends up playing for the Average Joe's dodgeball team. And then you've got this list of misfits. Some of these actors I don't know, but there's a guy who acts like he's a pirate. Then you have Justin Long, a high school student, a regular customer at Joe's. Then you have an overweight guy. You've got all these different gym rejects who work at Average Joe's, who come together and they do beat the team led by Ben Stiller, even though he had the most talented dodgeball people ever assembled on his team. And so you also have Jason Bateman in this, one of my favorite actors, who does commentary for the dodgeball tournament.
I sure do like pumpkins, Cotton.
And he is just absolutely hilarious. He looks like he just crawled out of bed. You've got William Shatner, who oversees the dodgeball tournament. Lots of people who just absolutely make this film hilarious. But my favorite character, no, it's not Ben Stiller. It would have to be Rip Torn. Rip Torn plays this character named Patches O'Houlihan. And he is a retired 7-time dodgeball all-star. And when Average Joe's team is preparing for the dodgeball tournament, they watch some of his old films. And then he comes to the gym. He's confined to a wheelchair now. And he says that he will be the coach for the Average Joe's team. And he has a very unique way of coaching a team.
Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? No. But I do it anyway because it's sterile and I like the taste.
Using vulgarity and throwing items at the dodgeball players and hurting them. And he is just so funny. So funny. That I would say that he is the major reason, along with Ben Stiller, why you should see this film. Now, is it about the underdog winning? Yes. Is it saying that dodgeball should be a well-viewed sport? No. I do think that the movie doesn't take itself seriously at all and wants you to be in on the joke that this is really quite a stupid film. I mean, really. Dodgeball, the circumstances, do they make sense? No. But it just really doesn't matter because it's so funny. It is so very, very funny. So if you're not quite sure if you want to see it, I would suggest that you go to YouTube and watch some of the clips and see if you can find something that you find really, really funny about it. Because there's just so much to find. I don't normally do this, but there's so many funny lines from the film that I'm going to share some of these with you. My favorite line is Rip Torn when he comes in as this old man in a wheelchair, and he brings in this whole satchel of heavy tools, and he's going to start training Average Joe's people. And his famous line is, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. And so he starts throwing wrenches at the Average Joe guys and hits them in the head, and they are hurt and all of these different things.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
And then he also have what we call the 5 essential D's, as in dogs of the sport, is to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Oh, here's another one from Patch's Rip Torn. If you want to have a dodgeball victory, you have to grab it by its haunches and you got to hump it into submission. Oh, here's a line from Ben Stiller, who really, his character is pathetically stupid. There's no question. Oh, I don't think I'm a lot dumber than you think that I thought I was once. Let me say that again. Oh, I don't think I'm a lot dumber than you think that I thought I was once.
Oh, I don't think I'm a lot dumber than you thought that I think that I thought I was once.
Oh my gosh. So funny. So funny. Oh, anyway, I could go on and on these ridiculous quotes, but I think you get an idea. This is nothing that has layers and layers and layers of thought and deep thinking. But if you are looking for something that's uproariously funny, that you can't take seriously, that you're drawn to it ever so often, you want to come back to it, and you hear a line that you just didn't realize was as funny from the previous time that you saw the film.
They don't really make a sorry your dodgeball coach just got crushed by 2 tons of irony Hallmark card.
I really recommend that you see Dodgeball. And remember to grab life by the ball.
Sit still. I said, I can't. Something's tickling me. She thought I was crazy. She said, well, open your coat. I unbuttoned my coat and opened it up. There was a mouse.
Stories. Everybody has them. The stories of our parents, grandparents, and our friends remind us who they are.
That's kind of what I think it is too, is memories. Growing up, my dad was an English teacher.
How they got here and what they've learned on the way. What if you could collect as many of your loved ones' stories in a high-quality audio format to keep forever? What if you could share the sound of your loved one's voice, their laughter, and their thoughtful manner with your children? Or when you are simply driving to work?
He spent literally 3 months in North Dakota freezing buckets of ice water to make this awesome ice fort that we never spent time in, but it was amazing. For the moment it was done.
Well, you can with a Sunnyside of Life biography. Produced here at Sunnyside Farm Studios. I'll sit down with your loved one for 1, 2, or several sessions to record their stories.
I think my students are going to have good memories of me.
You'll receive the full raw recording, an edited selection arranged in audio chapters for easy reference, and produced segments you can use for family gatherings, special moments, or any time you just want to hear your loved one's voice.
And those are probably my most cherished things.
Share it with your family and make it a keepsake, because that's what stories are. Keepsakes of the time we had together.
Never forget that. I was petrified of mice after that forever.
Email your query for more information to Troy at sunnysidefarmstudios.com. The email is also in this show's notes. Let me record your loved one's story so you can share the sunny side of their life in their own words for years to come.
I actually do kind of remember that now.
In the vein of what I previously had been doing, commenting on the top songs, again, all my preference, and movies of the 70s and 80s, I'm now going to venture into the 90s. Where were you in the 1990s? I'm going to comment on and give my recommendation for 15 films today. And when I come back for my next presentation, I'm going to maybe do some more. The first film, not necessarily in any order, from the 90s that I recommend is Good Will Hunting, which came out in 1997. This is a psychological drama which has a character played by Matt Damon, this is one of his first starring roles, as Will Hunting, who works as a janitor at MIT, but he has the IQ of a genius. Will then goes on to solve an incredibly tough math problem, and a professor decides to help him reach his potential. And he has this amazing camaraderie relationship with a psychiatrist or psychologist, played by Robin Williams, one of my favorite actors. And Robin Williams won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for Good Will Hunting. You will really like it. The next one would be Schindler's List, one of the hardest films I've ever watched, directed by Steven Spielberg, won many Academy Awards. It's based on a true story. is set in Krakow, 1939. A businessman named Oskar Schindler, as portrayed by Liam Neeson, is ready to make his fortune and fame off the back of the war. He joins the Nazi Party and then decides to fill his factory with Jews for advantageous reasons. But Schindler becomes fond of them, and then when he notices the SS is murdering the Jews, he arranges to protect them. So it is a story of hope, of redemption, and the story of a man who changed his whole life to save as many Jews as he could. A brilliant, amazing film. The next one would be Silence of the Lambs, which also was a big winner for Academy Awards. Jodie Foster won for Best Actress in this film. Anthony Hopkins, I believe, also won for portraying Hannibal Lecter. Came out in 1991. You've got Jodie Foster as a top FBI student, Clarice Starling, who's sent by her boss to interview Hannibal Lecter, who is a brilliant psychiatrist and also violent. There's a new serial killer on the loose. Crawford thinks that Starling may be able to crack Lecter to help them find out who's behind the killings. Absolutely horrifying film. The last moments of the film where Starling is closing in on the serial killer. Complete darkness. And it's incredibly difficult to watch. And I really would say if you're looking for something that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat, you really should see Silence of the Lambs. The next one is Fargo. Fargo is a thriller by the team of Joel and Ethan Coen, who made other movies. It's a very tongue-in-cheek film. It is what I would call a comedic horror story. There's a lot of humor, but there's a lot of bloodshed. There's a lot of violence. It's a basic story of a car salesman, played by William H. Macy, who's got himself in debt. He hires two men to kidnap his own wife in order to extract money from his father-in-law. But as you can probably guess, things don't go exactly as he planned. The scheme collapses, and there's mayhem and bloodshed and death that comes as a result of this. Fargo is really so much fun to watch because of the brilliant direction, the great acting. Frances McDormand plays the police officer who discovers what's going on with William H. Macy, and their portrayal of the dialect of that which is used in Minnesota and North Dakota is very, very funny. Yeah, you betcha. Slightly exaggerated, yes, but adds so much to the humor of the film. Then I would mention Saving Private Ryan, another Steven Spielberg film. It won quite a few Golden Globes. Captain John Miller, this is based on a true story, Tom Hanks, takes his men behind enemy lines to find Private James Ryan, whose three brothers had been killed in service. And they want to take him out because they want to make sure that he is left alive. And so each of Miller's men embark on a personal journey with honor, decency, and it really captures the brutalities of war. The film opens with the storming of Normandy, and it is astounding, absolutely astounding. And I've been there on vacation. I have seen the beach. I have stood there where this all took place and was a turning point in the war. And you feel immersed. You feel like you're actually there the day that it happened. It is so well done. So well done. Let's go to something a little lighter. How about The Lion King, the animated Lion King? Yes, I've seen the stage version. It's brilliant. I've seen the live action version. Yeah. But The Lion King has such important messages of love, friendship, and hope. Has a great soundtrack. It's the story of a little lion cub, Simba, forced to leave his family in the Pride Lands after his father is murdered by the wicked Uncle Scar. But years later, with his friends with him, Simba returns to his family to reclaim his throne and to save the Pride Lands. So it is a great, wonderful story that fits the whole belief that you have to have faith. And James Earl Jones plays his father, and he is brilliant with that voice. James Earl Jones, who has passed away, unfortunately, plays Simba's father. How could we not mention Jurassic Park, the original, the sci-fi blockbuster? Again, directed by Steven Spielberg. Set on a fictional island where a wealthy businessman and a team of genetic scientists filled a wildlife park with de-extinct dinosaurs. Then the power failure causes the dinosaurs to run loose, causing chaos on the island, and everything goes kapooey. As you can probably guess. If you're not going to have conflict, why are you watching the film? But Jurassic Park had superb, for its time, 1993, special effects for the dinosaurs. There have been many sequels, the Jurassic World, and they just keep coming because people like seeing these films. But I still say that the original Jurassic Park is the best. I highly recommend that you see it. Then I would say you should see, for something that's funny, Men in Black. And the poster says they are protecting the earth from the scum of the universe. It has Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones in it, who play guys who work for this underground secret society that are dealing with all the extraterrestrial influences that we have in our life that we're not aware of. They work for a highly funded yet unofficial government agency. Then they discover a deadly plot from an intergalactic terrorist who's on a mission to assassinate 2 ambassadors. And they're the only ones who can stop him. Once again, tongue-in-cheek. Once again, lots of satire. Once again, great special effects. And nothing that you should be worried about watching, that you would be frightened of these wide array of extraterrestrials. Uproariously funny. Then the next one would be back to the serious, would be The Shawshank Redemption, which is based on a story by Stephen King. Came out in 1994. Stars Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins. And it tells the story of Andy Dupree and Morgan Freeman, who become close friends during their time in the Shawshank State Penitentiary, one of the country's harshest prisons. The film is heart-wrenching, it's heartwarming, it's the story of impossible odds that are overcome because of faith and hard work and believing that something better should happen for these people. It's just an absolutely uplifting film. The next one is Misery, 1990. Also based on a Stephen King story. That stars James Caan and Kathy Bates. And Kathy Bates won the Academy Award for, I believe, Best Actress or Best Supporting Actress for this film. This famous author named Paul Sheldon gets in a serious car crash and is rescued by a former nurse, Annie Wilkes, who is, may we say, completely Fruit Loops, and the killer. Seems like she is nursing him back to health so he can leave, but things take a very dark turn when she becomes increasingly controlling and violent. And will he be able to escape? And will anybody find him? So, if you want a film that has a brilliant portrayal of a woman, insane woman, played by Kathy Bates, I would suggest Misery. Of course, we have also, with a few left, Titanic. The huge, huge, huge blockbuster that was written, where am I getting this language today? That was directed, written, produced, and co-edited by James Cameron. It is based, of course, on the real accounts of the sinking of the Titanic, and it stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. And remember, they were the star-crossed lovers who fall in love during the ship's ill-fated maiden voyage. And the special effects in this are stupendous. The love story is so enjoyable. It is a major, huge film that you owe to yourself to see sometime. You've got this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful love story going on. A Romeo and Juliet type story. People from the wrong side of the fence, so to speak, ill-crossed lovers, and what happens to them. You have the actual story of the ship being damaged by an iceberg, and then all the massive chaos of trying to get people off this ship. And then what unfortunately happened to so many of these people who drowned. And nothing can come close to the disastrous outcome of this story. Titanic. Please see it. Then I'm going to mention a film called American Beauty that has Kevin Spacey in it and Annette Bening. And it's directed by Sam Mendes, and it's a very sad story. If you think I have a theme today of sadness, I'm not intentionally doing that, my great audience. It just seems like these films today that I'm recommending from the 90s really are more serious. American Beauty tells the story of an advertising executive, Kevin Spacey, who has a midlife crisis. And then, during this midlife crisis, becomes obsessed with his teenage daughter's best friend. And this ends very tragically also. Kevin Spacey's career also has to a large degree, ended tragically. But he's brilliant in this film. So is Annette Bening. And it is a very dismal portrayal of two people married who seem to hate each other and take it out on their daughter, and then she tries to escape from them. Very, very tragic. I also want to mention the Blair Witch Project. Came out in 1999. This film started a whole line of series, I should say, of fake documentaries. People thought this was actually true, all this footage. And it was not true at all. It was just simply a film. You have three friends and amateur filmmakers who go out in this gloomy Black Hills forest to find this supposedly real character, the Blair Witch. And then they all disappear. But they find the raw footage. And the film is the raw footage of what it was like for them going into the woods. What did they encounter there? Did they find the witch? What happened to them? Absolutely horrifying. But it's not real. It is not real. But it surely seems to be real. I would highly recommend it. The next one would be The Sixth Sense. And that is where this young man has encounters with the dead people. He sees dead people. And he's too scared to share his visions with anybody except for a psychologist, Bruce Willis. And you find out in this miraculously tense movie what happened to Bruce Willis and why he's so attracted to working with this young boy. And the ending just blows you away. I didn't see it coming, as they say. Now, I've seen the film numerous times since, and I can see some of the clues now as to why the film ended the way that it did. But the first time seeing it took me completely by surprise. It is an amazing, amazing journey in suspense. And I think for the last one, hopefully that's 15, you know I don't add very well, would be the story of Thelma and Louise, Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis. Modern Bonnie and Clyde. It involves the story of a quiet housewife, Gina Davis, who goes with her independent friend on a short trip. But that trip soon becomes escape from the law after Louise shoots a man to defend Thelma. Brad Pitt is also featured in the film. They become renegades on the run. It's an unforgettable tale of female freedom, friendship, and power. I really think you should see Thelma and Louise if you want a story of people who are misunderstood. They are a victim of their own circumstance and what they can do to try to get themselves out of that situation. So, folks, that's just a few of the top films of 1990. Where can you find them? You know, I've said it before. On streaming. You can find them on a cable station. You can buy them. You can rent them, I guess, online. If you want to. We don't have video stores anymore. So don't underestimate the power of these very, very, very good films. Don't say to yourself, oh, it's the 1990s. I can't relate to that. Oh, these films are highly, highly unforgettable. So let's tune in again sometime and maybe hear about some more films. Are you with me? What do you think?
Let's lend our ears to the wacky observations of the world, according to Scott. Mr. B's wacky, 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 wacky world.
All right, my lovelies. I'm going to finish out today with just a few old age pet peeves. Now, even though I'm only 25. Right. Don't think so. There are some pet peeves about the elderly, even though I guess you could classify me as elderly. Even though I don't feel that I can relate to. Let me just say a few. This one doesn't necessarily relate to the older generation, but I find it bothersome when people don't say thank you. I think it's so easy to say thank you. I was raised to always say thank you, and I live by that rule yet today. But some people just don't say it, and you can't force them to say it, and you shouldn't become resentful if they don't say it. But it sure would be nice if they said it. So there's one. Another one would be cars driving in the fast lane. I guess that's like being on the interstate. In the passing lane, people who stay in the passing lane, they don't get over to the right. What is that about? Have I done that? Yes. If the speed limit is 90 kilometers per hour and you're cruising at 89, just make sure that no one else is irresponsibly breaking the law, okay? Stupid questions is the next one. I do believe there is such a thing as a stupid question. I used to always say that as a teacher. There are no stupid questions. I wasn't really believing what I was saying. There's lots of them. A stupid question is basically a question asked because the person isn't listening or has not considered the question first. For example, let's say I'm showing someone the correct way to prepare bread dough for baking. I'm in the process of demonstrating the measuring process for the flour, water, salt, and yeast. The person I explain to stops me and says, "Excuse me, does the flour need to be sifted? Oh my goodness. Or can I just add it as it is?" Good question. That's not stupid. But another one, a person might be on their phone, looks blankly at me, mouth hangs open, lips quivering. So, teacher, if I mix the flour and the yeast and then the ammonia, is the explosion strong enough to blow up a garden shed? That's stupid. What does that have to do with making bread? Ugh. Another one, people, and this is not necessarily the elderly, people who don't wash their hands after using the toilet. How many times am I in the men's restroom, which is the best place for me to go, being a man, and somebody's used the facility, whichever one you want to use, and just walk out. I can't imagine their hands over all the different items in the grocery store or the discount store. It's disgusting. Wash your hands, okay? Just wash your hands. It's a lot better. And I think my final one would be customers who don't know what they're talking about but think they know better than you. This is called a know-it-all. Yes, people who have all the answers, but really they don't know what's going on around them. But they act in such a style that people actually believe what they say. So anyway, those are some of my pet peeves. I probably have more. They're not necessarily directed towards the elderly, but I do find that the elderly sometimes do practice some of these more than other ages of people. So there you go. So wash your hands when you leave the bathroom, okay? Thanks. All right, my loved ones, that's it for me today. I am very happy that we spent this time at the table. I hope that you feel completely satisfied until we meet again. And until then, remember that you are special, that you are worthy, and resentments only ruin your life. Bye-bye.
Television dramas and comedic reviews, pet peeves buzzing like honeydew blues, poetry sprinkled like salt on a dish, every word served with a twist and a swish. Belly up to the table, my friend. The feast of thought will never end, from travels far to a spiritual climb. Morsels of musing served in rhyme.
Mr. B's Dinner Party is hosted by Scott Bertelson, edited and produced by Troy Thompson, recorded and distributed at Sunnyside Farm Studios, and platformed by Buzzsprout.
Conversations flowing like fine red wine, world journeys mapped with tales divine. He's hosting a dinner for your hungry mind, a banquet of life where you can unwind. Belly up to the table, my friend. The feast of thought will never end, from travels far to a spiritual climb. Morsels of musings served in rhyme.
Subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share with your friends. Listen and enjoy every other Wednesday. Conversational morsels for the mind on Mr. B's Dinner Party.